Why does every recipe I try need 18 ingredients, including a jar of something paste I'll never use again, but will sit in my fridge for 9 months? I just want dinner in the oven, fast. That's why I love Blue Apron's new one-pan assemble and bake meals. They send you fresh ingredients that are already chopped. All you do is put it all together and bake. That's it. No chopping, no weird leftovers, just delicious, easy-to-make meals. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Comfort is often the first thing we're willing to give up, like taking a long flight for a vacation or waking up early for a workout. But don't let style be the reason you aren't comfy. Mack Weldon's Ace Collection makes it effortless to look put together while feeling truly comfortable. No compromises needed. For over a decade, Mack Weldon has designed pieces to keep you comfortable anywhere. Inspired by their best-selling sweatpants, the Ace Collection combines everyday comfort with long-lasting and confident looks. Upgrade your collection for the new year with new bomber jackets, half-zips, sweats, crew necks, and much more. Mack Weldon clothes are designed to fit your style and the demands of modern life. They look like regular clothes, but feel like the latest in modern comfort. Get comfortable anywhere with the Mack Weldon's Ace Collection. Go to MackWeldon.com and get 20% off your first order of $125 or more with promo code MAC25. That's MackWeldon.com. Promo code MAC25.
Do you ever remember Manchester United playing Huddersfield?
No, I thought you were going to ask me something completely different then. I do not. When was the last time United played Huddersfield?
I will look it up by the time we preview the Manchester United against Huddersfield game. I suppose we should start the show with a showstopper, or at least that's what Sky spent 2 weeks hyping up the fixture to be, when in fact it was an utterly pathetic, damp squib of a performance of which both teams should be thoroughly ashamed.
They should be, yes. Both teams. I think Liverpool contributed to the lack of entertainment, although not that Klopp would have you believe that. Apparently it was a moral victory for the Anfield side. Although, look, to put some context behind this, United have had 2 shots on target over the 180 minutes in which we played Liverpool at Anfield under Mourinho.
That's not a lot of shots. The XG for the game, fairly telling, and in fact backed up Klopp's assertion to a large part, given they generated 1.8 XG, which is a lot. And United generated 0.3, which is not a lot.
It's not a lot, and maybe even generous.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I saw a lot of people say that Lukaku should have buried that one chance that he had. It's kind of telling that XG would rate that chance as being like a goal in every 5 times it happens. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But why believe any of the data when you have another narrative that you want to get out there? So, actually, Lukaku's chance conversion rate, or XG, is well ahead of his actual goal. So, he's taking more chances than he really should. And, but there seems to be a kind of dominant narrative about him that he misses a lot of chances. His conversion rate is very high too, much better than Harry Kane's. But anyway, he didn't really get a lot of chances to convert against Liverpool because United played 9 at the back. Mourinho joked before the game that he was going to play 9 forwards. Oh, the japester that he is. We should have known, shouldn't we? Ashley Young restored to the forward line, mainly as a second full-back. And Martial spent most of his time at left-back. Lukaku was about 50 yards ahead of his teammates, and everyone else was defending. Awesome stuff.
The Martial thing, I think I made this comment to someone that, like, obviously it's bad that Martial's playing left back, but in the long run maybe it's good because Mourinho will now be convinced that Anthony Martial can put in the kind of defensive shift he so desperately loves. I mean, I have to say that when you look at that starting 11 and you look at the system, okay, so Young as a sort of supplementary second right back, that is an overtly defensive move. But nothing else about the team selection was spectacularly defensive. Darmian over Young at left back or Blint at left back, say, the less defensive options. That's a nod towards a defensive mindset, but basically a 4-2-3-1 in theory. And although Mourinho can definitely warrants a good deal of criticism for lack of intent, I actually thought the players were, for the most part, basically a disgrace to the profession in that game. Like, just absolutely kind of guileless. A performance in which the tension of the performance completely looked like it got the better of them.
Maybe. I mean, I think they probably spent all week just working on defensive shape because they were very organised, United, bigger and stronger than Liverpool and super organised. And although Liverpool's XG is reasonably high, I'm going to guess that quite a bit of that XG was from the shot. I've forgotten who had the shot now. That
Emre Can.
Can, yeah, and David De Gea pulled off some miracle of bendy-leggedness.
Oh no,
in order to save it.
I didn't mean that one. I think the XG on that chance would be lower than the one that Can fired over the bar from 3 yards out or whatever. I would say that Liverpool had 3 gilt-edged chances: the one that De Gea saved, the one Can knocked over the bar, and the one that Salah skewed wide in the kind of follow-up to the amazing De Gea save. I mean, I don't think you can say that Liverpool were kind of contained and didn't create dangerous chances, because they could easily have, they could easily have scored.
They could have won 3-0, yeah. Although I'm not sure that would have been completely a reflection of the game. I mean, they obviously had a lot of the ball, Liverpool, but I felt United had a lot of control when they needed to, which was basically in the defensive third. I mean, look, that's not the level of performance was poor from the players, but the thing that I think pissed a lot of people off is the intent. Right, this is a Liverpool side that is 9th. It's not a good Liverpool side. They've won once in the last sort of 7 or 8 games or something like that. They're not playing particularly well, and this is the United side that was playing well. Do we get this kind of performance in every fixture United are playing a top side? Because if that's the case, if there's sort of 6 or 7 games against sides that are better than Liverpool, and United just can play for a point in all of them, that's a hell of a lot of points dropped. I'm not sure that City will be doing that, and we might be looking back in sort of April, May time and going, if we'd just been a bit bolder in a few of those games. For me, given how poor Liverpool have been this season, that's 2 points lost, and mostly some of it's down to performance, but most of it's down to the intent. And the intent was to get a clean sheet.
See, I don't,
and that was about it.
I think that I would say I'd put it at 60-40 intent versus performance, because in a way I was leaning more towards its performance rather than intent until the latter stages of the game, when United were time wasting at 0-0 against the team in 7th in the Premier League. I tweeted after the game, I was well annoyed, to be fair. Terrible performance, terrible result. And I think terrible result is obviously the hyperbole of the moment, but poor result, no doubt it's a poor result. Like, the fact that City battered Stoke 7-2 at the weekend kind of just puts into a degree of perspective. Now, maybe they won't last the season playing like they're playing, but if we're realistic, I mean, 0-0 away at Liverpool is a great result if you're trying to get a kind of comfortable top 4 finish. If we're gonna take as read that we're gonna batter everyone bad, but if we're seriously contending for the league, this Liverpool team is terrible. Like, it's but
no, that's the frustrating thing. If it was a good Liverpool side and you were going to Anfield and Liverpool were chasing the title or something like that, okay, all right, be pragmatic. But I actually think this was not the pragmatic performance. This was just an unnecessarily defensive performance because it's not that great a side. So
I'm now going to take the 40% player performance perspective, though, because Ashley Young, dreadful performance on the ball. 5 attempted crosses, none found a man, 75% pass completion, which considering how 20 attempted passes total. Henrik Mkhitaryan, again, really, really average. I thought, it was good to see him getting hooked for Jesse Lingard, which is not something you'd necessarily say. I mean, Anthony Martial was on a kind of hiding to nothing, really, but couldn't get his pass completion above 75%. Again, only 16 passes attempted by Martial. I thought Herrera was really lax. I mean, he did well defensively, but appalling on the ball. Matic played well. I thought, I guess the centre-backs played okay, but, I think if we'd lost this game, well, listen, XG, for what it's worth, is a rough measure of quality of chances. So if we'd lost this game 2-0, that would seem pretty fair given the balance of play. I just thought Darmian, oh my goodness. A special mention for Matteo Darmian, whatever the opposite of man of the match is. A completely just hapless performance. Nearly took someone, nearly got himself sent off by kind of doing a flying kick at someone's head late on in the game, and you could see why he might be frustrated after a display like that. Just did the wrong thing almost every time he had the ball. Just really frustrating, maddening, horrible game of football.
It was. The only one I'd take issue with you there is Herrera. I mean, I think he was just told to do a defensive job, and that's what he's doing. He put in 9 tackles. And, not great on the ball, but no one in the United side was great on the ball. There was no movement. They were in shape all the time. I mean, Lukaku touched the ball 22 times. I was actually surprised when I looked that one up that he had that many touches. He was that far away from the rest of his teammates. I thought this was going to be another Robin van Persie 12 touches type thing. Horrible. I think it's more like 80-20. Set up versus performance. I think United was set up in a fashion that did not allow them to retain possession of the ball.
Right.
Just really, really, really frustrating, and I just unnecessary. Just totally unnecessary. And if you take those games against Liverpool, City, Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, right, nominal top 6 with us, 5 games, we're going to play for a draw in all of them. We're better off winning 2, losing 3 than we are drawing 5. Just fact, more points by doing that.
Yeah. And the other thing about that is treating them as equal threats seems absolutely ridiculous at this point, because they're clearly there's a gradient on which those threats should be measured, because Liverpool and City are nowhere near each other in terms of standard. City are miles and miles ahead of Liverpool. Arsenal and Tottenham, same. So, for Mourinho to just write this off, should we settle if you're on 80-20 and I'm on 60-40? Is the official position of the Rantcast 70-30? Is that?
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. I just don't even know what to say about it. We've had a question, which I'll look up who it's from in a minute, but we had a question about whether this was the worst United performance in recent memory. And of course it isn't. I mean, Watford 3-1 last season was just completely terrible. But this was one of the most disappointing. And I think, disappointment is always a measure of expectation in a way, isn't it? I think one of the reasons this game was so unpleasant to watch was, for me, it was almost a bit of a benchmark for where we're at. And it turns out that where we're at is just, Mourinho's going to play Ashley Young on the right wing and Matteo Darmian at left back against Liverpool away. And we're going to be crap and scrape through the game with a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, basically. I don't think you can win Premier League titles playing that way. I don't, for all the kind of reputation Mourinho has, I don't remember his Chelsea sides playing that way that often, specific cases, but not repeatedly. And we've seen this a few times now. I guess he just doesn't trust his team fully, which is odd, though, because they've been playing well for the most part. Anyway, look, we had a debate previously, didn't we, about how good this United team was, and the fact that we played a load of guff so far this season. We played a load of guff at the weekend as well. But apparently we were scared of that guff.
That's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it? It's not even like this is lots of talk about the first real test. They're terrible. They're so bad. They couldn't beat us, and we were rubbish. Like, honestly.
No, I mean, they won 12 games at home last season, Liverpool did. Right? They're just not that good. And they haven't made any progress this season. In fact, it looks like they're going backwards. And sure, it's Liverpool and it's Anfield, but Mourinho made such a big point before the game about how the atmosphere would help United, and we're looking forward to it. So you can't even excuse that.
I've seen a lot of Reds make a load of excuses for this performance.
Oh, of course, because people will rationalise it, because no one likes to hear that we were just negative and defensive, but United were. And so, look, from Mourinho doesn't get it. He does not accept. Look at his post-match press conference. He was pretty tetchy, I think, by the end of it, because he was being asked about the performance and the tactics. He just does not accept that he is off base at all here. He thinks he should be getting praise for nullifying the opposition, and he's had Neil Custis was out today praising him for nullifying the opposition, but I think this is the United side that wants to chase the title. Got to do more than that. I cannot. I may have to eat my words later in the season, but I cannot imagine City will go to Anfield and play 9 at the back. Well,
they definitely won't. The thing is just whether what they try works. That's when Mourinho is vindicated or otherwise, isn't it? I've seen a couple of journalists going, I can't understand the criticism Mourinho is getting. Seen a lot of United fans absolutely delighted because from a United perspective, Mourinho won the war of words because, Klopp talked a load of nonsense, which he did. But United did not nullify Liverpool in that game. Liverpool had multiple excellent chances to win that game. The chances that Liverpool spurned were better chances than the one singular chance that Lukaku spurned.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, it's just that United are on cheat mode with the goalkeeper. Yeah. He's just outstanding, yes. David. And there's no other keeper in the world that can pull off that save with his foot. It's a freak. No one should be that flexible and that quick.
I'm firmly inching towards the position of believing David De Gea is Manchester United's greatest goalkeeper of the modern era, Ed. I know this is controversial, but...
It is controversial. Oh, I don't know. You might have to win a European Cup first.
But I feel like that's very unfair on a goalkeeper. It's like the people who argue that Messi can't be the greatest of all time because he's never won the World Cup.
No, I mean, people remember the big moments. That said, Peter Schmeichel did go and play for City, and he's a terrible pundit. So these things are counting against him too.
Yeah. That save was, it was beyond heart in mouth, wasn't it? It was the kind of save that he makes so often, where the crowd are already celebrating the goal. David De Gea is amazing at producing the kind of noise out of the opposition.
Yeah. Well, look, I really hope we're not going to have to face that every time United play a decent side, but I kind of suspect we might. But it really does have me thinking that United cannot win the Premier League. We're just going to, because we'll lose some of those games against the top teams, and maybe we'll nick one with a goal on the break. Didn't really even play on the break at Anfield, or one with a set piece or something like that, and win a game. But really, the odds of you winning games playing in that fashion are very low.
I have to say, though, this is where I think 30% is a more fair reflection of individual player performance responsibility than 20 would be, because one of the main reason we didn't play on the break was our players fluffed their lines time after time after time when opportunities for breaks occurred. Mkhitaryan, Young, Darmian, I can't really remember Valencia doing that, but it's just all kind of faded into a dull haze. But, and Martial too, like obviously in difficult circumstances. But yeah, it was just every time there was an opportunity to break, it was spurned. And so I feel like that is one of the reasons why the performance looked so completely toothless, was because players that should be able to carry the threat on the counter didn't.
Yeah, but it was a strange selection, wasn't it? Ashley Young. I mean, he hasn't played up front in years. He hasn't scored in 3 years.
I mean, I guess the logic goes he's in decent form in terms of putting balls in at the moment, and it's him or Juan Mata in Mourinho's eyes, and Juan Mata's definitely not going to carry a counter-attack up the pitch, is he?
No, but he used the ball really smartly. So and he's been playing well this season. So it didn't make. I mean, the argument for Henrik Mkhitaryan playing at number 10 is quite low at the moment. He's put in a lot of crappy performances recently. So anyway. I thought Mourinho got it wrong. It was unnecessary to play that defensively. And he just went back to basics, basically. And that's his back to basics. Stories emerging this evening as we record from Big Dunk that Mourinho is stalling on a potential new contract, or he's perhaps actively even thinking about moving elsewhere. He was on French TV this weekend, sort of flirting with PSG as well, it seems, Is he angling for that job? Does he want out? Is this just contract negotiations and he wants a few extra million on top of his already hefty contract?
He's very unhappy with the way the club conducted their transfer business, according to an article which cites close friends of Mourinho, a.k.a. Dunker Castles himself. But in public, of course, what he said was, I know the club did everything they possibly could. I can't be angry at the club. I can't remember the exact quote, but it was basically that. I certainly won't be crying about it, is what he said, if the club can't sign a fourth player. Seems to be crying about it. I don't know, seems to now be crying about it.
Yeah, so I think what needs to be done now is, I don't know the truth of how bureaucratic United are. I know they basically have to go to the Glazers to move, but they are surely quicker than the time when they were a PLC and had to do all the due diligence on this kind of stuff. But who knows whether Mourinho's really unhappy about United's level of spending. It seemed quite healthy to me, to be honest, over the 2 summer windows that he's been in place. But, the best thing that United could do now, Mr. Woodward, is go and be caught having lunch with Mauricio Pochettino. That would get the headline writers going, wouldn't it?
Certainly would. I don't know. Obviously, when we smash Benfica and Huddersfield away 4-0 each, I'll feel all buzzy about José Mourinho again. But right now, it just felt like a big shame. And obviously, lots of people are going to be very tribal about it and be like, oh, no, he got the spot on. And it's just like, if you think Mourinho got the tactics spot on in that game, you have to look at the numbers again, because nothing about those numbers tell the story of a manager getting his tactics spot on. Yeah. Oh, I mean, at least Liverpool are worse than us, obviously. That's kind of the one consolation in all this. But that is a pretty pathetic consolation, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Anyway.
All right, I've got a great Rantcast question here from Primordial Superman, who says, do you think the false narrative that we parked the bus is better or worse than the truth that we were just not very good? And I think that is a really solid point, because I'm not convinced that the bus was by any means fully parked. He didn't play 6 at the back. He just they were just dreadful.
Right, you see, I don't think these things are mutually exclusive. I think United set out to play in a very rigid shape, and that had a lot of impact on their ability to move the ball.
By the way, what world is this where United are back and we're kind of disappointed that the international break's over? Because United were terrible, but this last international break was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, there was one particular day. Was it the Wednesday last week? Tuesday or Wednesday last week? We had Australia versus Syria in the morning, going to extra time, and Tim Cahill, 87, leaped up and leaped up about 12 feet to score the winner with a couple of minutes left in extra time, and then very naughtily did some kind of sponsor logo celebration. Not having that, Tim. That's not good. And then what did we have? We had drama as USA were beaten by the mighty Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah. Argentina went to Ecuador, and Messi scored a outrageous hat-trick to take Argentina through. There was Egypt scoring a last-minute penalty. Yeah, as bonkers amazing. That was. What else do we have? Chile losing in Brazil. That's not that much of a surprise, but they got themselves knocked out. Then we had bizarre stuff with Panama getting through. And the moment of the international break, a ball boy doing a spectacular job at time wasting by absolutely lashing it into Rose Ed. I'm sure everyone's seen that one, but if you haven't, just Google ball boy Panama, you'll find it. What else? We had a goal that was given that clearly wasn't a goal.
And I think that's one of the main reasons the USA didn't make it as well, which is like that goal was heavily
and they
weighted.
lost to a really crap side.
Yeah, they haven't not been to a World Cup since 1986, the USA. I was really surprised to discover that because in my brain, the 1986 World Cup, the teams that made it to that are the normal teams that always make it to the World Cup. In my head, like Canada being in the World Cup is just normal, and the USA not being is also normal, but apparently it very much isn't.
No, and lots of bleating about that. Although a lot of journalists with a bit of passive sexism forgetting that the USA women's team has won the World Cup 3 times. You know, a lot of bleating about US football. But, there are clearly some challenges. Everyone in the US plays soccer up to a certain age, and then they don't. And the MLS is really, really crap about mid-championship level. I've been to a few games, so yeah, feel well enough educated on MLS to know that. So they're just, 20 years of the MLS and the standards haven't improved that much, really, and it's a bit of a structural problem for them. But anyway, we won't. I guess everyone at Russia 2018 will be quite happy about that, you know.
No, they're allies now. I mean, nothing. Shh, I didn't say anything. Forget it. I promise not to talk about politics.
That's right. So we got some. Ireland beat Wales. That was. That was a very good performance from the Irish, I thought. So.
No, it was a bad game. You can't slate United for ages for parking the bus and then praise Ireland for that performance. Yeah, but it was very poor.
But look, they got 16 players in that squad that are from the Championship. O'Neill is doing miracles with a collection of players that are not very good. The worst collection of Irish players for a long time, I'd say. And so they're into the playoffs. And what other surprises were there? Portugal beat Switzerland. Maybe not a surprise, but Switzerland had been very good in qualification up till that point.
France beat Bulgaria and Belarus, which is kind of a surprise at this point. I'll tell you what, the real surprise was stories started breaking that Deschamps' contract is going to be extended to 2020 before the World Cup, which is just like, what are you doing? Qu'est-ce que vous faites? What is happening here? Why would you give this man more time to do the terrible, terrible job he's doing?
Yeah. Next month we'll get the playoffs, which should be good. I don't think the draw's been made, but Ireland, Switzerland, Sweden, Italy.
Northern Ireland as well.
Teams there. Northern Ireland as well, yeah. Some good teams there, not Scotland, who did the very Scottish thing of scoring an equaliser with about 2 minutes left and giving themselves hope.
The moment when, in the Ireland game, I can't remember, it was Tom Lawrence for Wales, was lining up a free kick late on. And the thing is, if Wales had scored at that point, all that would have happened is neither team would have got through. And so I thought it was very gentlemanly of him, well raised by United's Irish contingent. Lawrence just blasted it out into touch, faking doing a terrible free kick. But I think it was in honour of the Irish. The scenes in the Ireland end in that game looked absolutely unbelievable. The full-time scenes were beautiful and lots of happy Roy Keane, which is always good.
I'm sure there was some fun had in Cardiff that evening. Yeah. So, next month we get all those playoffs, and then I think there's Honduras versus Australia, is it, in the Intercontinental playoff?
Right.
Four European playoffs, over 2 legs, and then Honduras versus Australia. Should be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And then basically what this all comes down to is that international football gets really good once there are stakes. This is the problem with so much of the qualifying, is it's so long and drawn out over 2 years that it's hard to get invested in those weeks when international football seems interminable and dull. But once the stakes...
Yeah, unfortunately it's going to get worse with 48 teams. You're going to, especially in Europe, you're going to have some groups where it's harder to not qualify than it is to qualify.
Yeah.
I guess this is going to be lots more money in somebody's pocket somewhere because you're increasing the TV pool. It's always about money, isn't it? But I think it's going to make qualification even more boring.
So, should we do some Rankcast questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. At Matters Mate says, he says, how to make pass, which was funny. But then he says, in all seriousness, though, the lineup was all wrong. You can't just play Ashley Young outside his natural position of right back. Really made me laugh, that did. Good. At Oye Creation says, what's the point in spending millions on the squad if we're going to defend deep against our biggest rivals?
Yeah, quite.
Is Mkhitaryan a big game bottler, says at Man Stew FC. I can only remember Spurs last year when he's been a match winner. I mean, he was big in the Europa League, wasn't he, all the way through pretty much?
Yeah, but he bottled his big chance against Crystal Palace the other week. I don't know. He's definitely a hot and cold player. And, in terms of form, he can have some real stinkers. But he does come up with decent numbers because he takes a lot of chances with his passing. But, there was none of that against Liverpool, was there? It wasn't making the simple passes, let alone the difficult ones.
At M Sporty Guy 1 says, does Jose plan game plan for teams based on reputation? I'm sure he once settled for point against a Moyes-led United. Shudder. Yeah, that's true. That was that 0-0.
David Moyes up for the Scotland job. Poor Scotland.
Yeah. Boo.
They seem to have a choice between Allardyce has ruled himself out of the running. That would be fun. Allardyce in charge of Scotland.
I mean, that'd be excellent. Like, that'd be amazing. He'd do such a good job. We had a question last week from someone who said they offered to become a patron backer of the show if we promised never to mention David Moyes again. But I need the outlet more than I need the backing at this point, to be fair. Like, every time he speaks, I shudder and feel the need to get it off my chest. At Nick Gilbert 86 says, 0-0 isn't so bad considering Smalling and Darmian played, surely.
Just hamstringing ourselves.
Two questions about left backs from at P Padman and at _Taylor Ben. Oh, three, and one from at This Time Surely. What's the deal with Luke Shaw? As much as we all hate to admit it, is Luke Shaw's time up? Will signing a decent left back who can cross well solve our team balance issues?
Well, yeah, I mean, having a decent left back who can get up and down the pitch and is athletic and can defend and attack will certainly add more balance to United. That player could be Luke Shaw, but he's got to get himself fit. And, he's 3 years at United, so it's kind of time for excuses is running out, isn't it? But, he's obviously got this hamstring problem. It's a fairly lengthy one. United appear to be sniffing around Danny Rose, maybe, and Luke Shaw was a big favourite at Pochettino's at Southampton. Maybe a little swaps on the cards. Never happens, though, does it?
It does. They do. They happen sometimes. I should say at This Time Surely also said yet another English footballer lacking professionalism, ? Does seem to be a bit of a space for it. I mean, you say he's been at United 3 years. He's running out of excuses. A year of those he had a broken leg for. So,
it's just a scratch.
Do you think, says at J Bonser, that United will avoid a third season Jose Mourinho meltdown by shipping him off to PSG and bringing in Ancelotti? He then did a crying, laughing emoji to make it very clear that he was kidding.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe they'll announce a new 5-year contract for Mourinho in the coming weeks, at which point the third season meltdown is almost certainly guaranteed. All
right, here's the question that we hinted at earlier. At Stevens, the one that I mentioned about where the Liverpool game was the worst in recent memory was from at Tony Kerrs. This one is from at Stevens BK, who says, how much does De Gea need to do / achieve to officially overtake Schmeichel? And I think it's worth a conversation because I think he's there. I think he's done it. I think he's been playing behind a much, much, much worse team than Peter Schmeichel, and the only thing he's behind him on is distribution. And his shot stopping is better than Schmeichel's, and his concentration levels are better than Schmeichel's. He makes fewer mistakes.
Yeah, don't know. I mean, Big Pete did win a lot of trophies.
He did, but he was playing in by far the best team in the country, and for one season, the best team in the world.
Big Pete didn't flirt with Real Madrid every summer.
No, but he literally went to Man City and celebrated in front of us with a cartwheel.
Yeah, he did. I'm not going to forgive him for that or his punditry. But apart from that, he's still got the edge just for a moment. I'm sure by the time De Gea finally leaves us for Madrid, whether it's this summer or the next one, or the next one, or the next one, he will officially be United's best ever.
At Annie Rudder 112, I think it's Annie Rude R. He says, did Mourinho get it tactically wrong by playing Young at right wing instead of either Mata or Lingard?
Or Rashford or anyone else?
Yeah, well, quite. I think it's pretty clear that he did. At Gaz2 put, who is fond of an acerbic sideways glance at Manchester United fans' reactions to stuff, says, can United catch City or is 2 points insurmountable with just 30 games to go? Not really the point, is it, Gaz? Not really the point. I mean...
Well, after we've defended resolutely for 93 minutes at the Etihad and got ourselves a 0-0 draw, maybe, or a 1-0 win, maybe we'll be overtaking them. When do we play City, by the way? It's December or something like that, isn't it?
At Trish JH says, Jose's such a pro, he's already doing the prep work for his third season meltdown, so who comes next? And then he acknowledges that actually what's probably happening is that Mourinho's just trying to get more money.
Yeah, for himself rather than for the team, although I'm sure he'd like both.
But seriously, we can't think of Mourinho as a long-term manager because maybe he will turn out to be, but if he does, it will be against the run of everything that's ever happened previously. So who are the candidates for the job to get the job next?
Well, I suppose if you're in the sort of elite manager merry-go-round, Ancelotti would be high on the list. But if you want a young manager who's clearly everyone in the game says he's brilliant, it's Poch, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say out of those two, I would be much, much happier with Poch and Ancelotti because Ancelotti would feel like... Just appointing Ancelotti after Mourinho would just feel like a weird, pointless salve. It just... I don't know. It's amazing how much it turns out I do actually really care about United having a long-term identity. I thought I could roll with it, but no, I don't mind if it's Mourinho. I don't mind if it's a Mourinho long-term identity. That's okay, but I just want someone with a vision and a plan.
At High Sparrow _Sparrow says to me on Twitter, it's not an official Rankcast question, but. Ponders, Poch is Moyes 2.0. Never won.
Yeah, okay. At Mark LM Steele says, a long one on Sir Bobby and Ryan Giggs couldn't fit it into one tweet. So he says, when there was a shot of Sir Bobby shown in the crowd yesterday, Martin Tyler talked about Charlton's career with the club being unparalleled. While Mark says he mostly agrees, could an argument not be made for Ryan Giggs to have achieved the same, if not more than he did? And if not, why? I mean, I think...
Yeah, well, Giggs won more trophies.
Yeah, many
more trophies. He won less individual honours, never won a World Cup and didn't win European Player of the Year or any of those big individual things. Probably played in a better team. I mean, United were very good 66, 67, 68 sort of period. During Charlton's heyday, and of course he was in the team for the Babes and all of that. But yeah, Giggs won many more trophies and played more games for the club.
I think the thing about Charlton's career being unparalleled, so for a long time he was the leading scorer and of course record appearance maker up until Giggs, but Giggs not only overtook Charlton's record, he overtook it in Charlton in 2008 and then smashed it basically over the next 5 years. But I think it's kind of the emotion of what Charlton went through, the kind of the Munich air disaster and the recovery, and to be in the 1957 league winning team and then to be in the 1968 European Cup winning team as well is a pretty remarkable career in a very different way to Giggs. But yeah, I mean, Giggs beats him on everything other than kind of sentiment, really. Maybe not on ability. I don't know, because it's all relative, isn't it, to the age in which they played.
Sure.
At Big Shimmery Wall, massive friend of the show, says, just woke up from a really boring dream. What's your prediction for the upcoming Liverpool versus United match?
Yeah, 6-0 to United. We're going to go out there with 9 strikers like Mourinho promised.
Lots of questions of stuff we've already covered, so thank you for those, but we won't go over the ground again. Dave Big Shimmery Wall also says, is that going to be all of Victor Lindelof's league minutes for 2017? Will he even make the bench when Rocco's less dead?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I guess we've been through this a few times with Mourinho and players, so no one's sort of panicking about Lindelof yet. Mourinho signalled quite early on that he was going to take a while to adapt, and he's looked pretty shaky. He had a bad one for Sweden as well, didn't he, against the Dutch? So I guess he's just losing a bit of confidence. He needs to play a few games. If Sweden qualify for the World Cup, he's going to want to take part in that, and so he's going to need to play some games over the second half of the season. Otherwise, he's not going to make it.
Yep. Luke Carroll at Look See Here says, how does this performance make you feel about taking on City/Chelsea? Do you expect similar levels of underwhelming? Yes.
Probably. I mean, Mourinho would love nothing more. You know, there's nothing more stirry than for Pep to tiki-taka it around the Etihad for 90 minutes and United to win 1-0 with 16% possession.
I'm not going to ask you the question I'm really thinking, Ed, because it feels positively treacherous at this point. I'm just going to move on and say Manchester United are about to play Benfica, who have been absolutely terrible in this group so far, but we're away from home in a tough European tie, so I'm expecting it to be 0-0. How quickly apart.
It does feel like that. I mean, United have actually scored very few goals against top sides in the league over the last 2 years under Mourinho, and there's been some not wonderful performances away from home. So there does seem a little slightly different narrative about United away from home under Mourinho. But this Benfica side is terrible. They drawn their last couple of games. They in the league, that is, they got absolutely smashed by Basel 5-0 last time out in the Champions League. They've got a pretty mediocre side, got to say, looking through the players in that side. United surely are miles better than them.
Yeah, and surely should be looking to blow off the cobwebs, the post-international break cobwebs, which meant it was absolutely inevitable they couldn't be at their best against Liverpool. Nothing United could possibly have done about that. But no, I think that the Benfica are third at the moment in the Portuguese league. But the fact that they've taken those 2 hammerings in Europe, and one of them was at home, wasn't it? Or were they both away from home? I thought that CSK smashed them in Portugal. No, they just beat them in Portugal. So if CSK and Moscow are winning away from home against you, United should just be, unleashing all the big guns. I mean, after that game against Liverpool, though, I just don't know what the team's going to look like, because presumably Fellaini will still be out. Who I guess good Fellaini was missed against Liverpool, and even bad Fellaini was missed given the pattern of play. Would have been useful to have him as an outball. But so I guess it'll be the same midfield as was against Liverpool, but hopefully there'll just be a bit more attacking intent, and hopefully a few better individual performances. Because, like I said, I don't think that should be completely ignored in the Liverpool game.
No, I mean, I thought, again, we spoke last week, I thought against Liverpool that he might play 3 at the back. He didn't in the end. But he did play 3 at the back against Moscow, and it was actually quite an attacking 3 at the back. And United really took the game to a pretty poor side. This is a bad side. They're not a good side, Benfica. United shouldn't be worrying about going all defensive. So I wonder whether we'll get a little more positivity. I hope so, anyway.
Only lost once in the league so far this season, but yeah, that Champions League information, the Champions League results are probably a bit more of a pointer at where they're at in terms of the global stage. The fact that we beat Basel very easily at United. The fact that Basel were able to beat Benfica 5-0. I mean, I haven't seen that game, and sometimes games just get a bit funny, don't they? A striker hits a hot streak and things go ahead of you and your head drops or whatever, and it looks worse than it is. But that was humbling.
Yeah, I mean, they had man sent off, but it's not a good team. I mean, you cannot pick out too many really high-quality players in the Benfica side at the moment. They've been most of the Portuguese clubs, probably particularly Porto, but Benfica as well, have been very good about bringing players in, especially from South America, and flipping them and selling them on for good profit. And you wonder whether they've just done that a bit often. And it's in a transitional period because they've got Seferovic, the Swiss forward, who's a decent player, and who else is going to play out front? Jonas will probably play out front. Zipkovic, God, a whole bunch of players I can't say apparently, who's a decent player. Jardel at the back, the Brazilian's decent player, but not tons and tons of players that you'd expect to be making sort of 25, 30 million pound moves in a couple of years' time.
Nope. So I've written down a team, a starting 11 for United. Dave in goal. Lindelof, talking to Lindelof, Smalling and Jones at the back with Valencia on one side and Young on the other. Matic, Herrera in the midfield. And then Martial and Mata behind Lukaku. Although I wouldn't be at all surprised if even that was miles away from what actually happens. I think that would kind of work. I mean, I kind of expect Mata to play given he didn't play against Liverpool. But, that team's awfully short on players who were just in the team for their defensive running for Mourinho's tastes. But he did kind of go for it with a 3-4-3 against Moscow, although maybe he feels freer to do that with Pogba or even Fellaini in the team.
Yeah, and I'm not certain he'll go for a 3 in this game. I mean, Benfica do play a flat back 4. They play a pretty standard sort of European formation. Sometimes play 2 up front. Which, you'd have the spare man if you went for 3. Although I don't think Mourinho's got a problem with sort of matching 1-to-1 in defensive situations. Especially against Moscow, with them having such an old backline, I think he really did want to put pressure on them. So I'm not certain he'll go through a 3 at the back. But United should be much superior in midfield, even without Pogba, who, we've missed a lot.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And there is mitigation for that Liverpool performance. I just hammered them relentlessly. I don't think the mitigation is enough, but missing Pogba and then missing the player that's come in to replace him, it should have been okay, but Herrera's had so little football to find form. That's a bit of a problem. It did follow immediately on the back of an international break, but none of these excuses are turning to dust in my mouth, Ed. I don't believe any of them.
No. Yeah, I think United should dominate this game. I think you're right. Mata will come back in the side, just a bit more control. I guess Rashford will probably start, won't he? Since he didn't against Liverpool. But I wouldn't expect too many changes. Young's not going to play on the right wing again. He might play at left back, I guess. Yeah.
I think
Benfica's strengths are more through midfield and attack than defence. Pizzi's good through the centre of midfield if he's fit, and they've got some talents. But I think United should be well good enough to win this game.
I guess Eric Bailly might be back in the side actually.
Yeah, I don't actually know how bad his injury was, or was it just fatigue?
No, we haven't. An injury suffered on international duty is all the reporting says about that. We haven't got any specifics yet. So hopefully he'll be in the team. Anyway, that's Benfica. After that, Huddersfield, who've made an excellent start. Well, having drawn 0-0 with Jurgen Klopp, are we going to draw 0-0 with Jurgen Klopp's best mate, David Wagner?
Maybe. They have made a good start, Huddersfield, since I think pretty much everyone assumed that they would be going down. But, again, a side that United should be so superior to that we shouldn't be even thinking about any chance of United playing defensively away at Huddersfield. Surely this is a return to 4-0.
Spurs kind of popped their bubble a bit, didn't they, with that 4-0 win, stealing our mojo there. That's our thing.
That's right. Yeah, that's our thing, isn't it? Yeah. We're going to have to one-up them and go for 5-0 or something like that. Harry Kane was superb that day and scored some outrageous goals. So, hey, they're there for the taking. They're not a great side, but they have made a good start.
They lost to Swansea as well, which is very bad. They lost this weekend to Swansea. That's in Swansea. It's a bit different. But yeah, I mean, so far they're kind of... their start to the season has been eye-catching because it was better than anyone expected. But actually, they've only got, one win in the league. That can't be right. No. It's just that the list of fixtures doesn't go back far enough. But, since they haven't had a win in the league since the 20th of August. So I guess the wheels have kind of come off that. I mean, they've got a couple of decent draws since then. But yeah, 2 losses on the bounce. In fact, if you include the cups, their results go loss, draw, loss, draw, loss, loss. So, listen, rumours of Huddersfield's amazing form can be seriously overstated at this point. So it should be a comfortable Manchester United win. I mean, they play a nice style of football, don't they? He's Klopp-light in every way, and they were very entertaining in the Championship. I mean, I think everyone at Huddersfield would kind of agree that the promotion to Premiership was ahead of their schedule, wasn't it? They were expecting a season of stability in the Championship and kind of sneaked up through the playoffs. A very poor playoff final at that as well. But yeah. Outperforming expectations, but that seems to have tailed off already a bit.
Yeah, so we're going to go out there, all out attack and win 4-0 or 5-0.
I mean, I think there's every chance that will happen, to be honest. Like, having just spent an hour slating Man United, there's every chance we'll win 4-0 in that game. Good. That's what we want. We want a couple of wins this week to make everyone feel a bit more positive, because it's amazing how quick the narrative sort of turned, isn't it? And that's all it is about performance. It's about style and level of performance, not just, obviously everyone wants victories, and if United won 1-0 at Liverpool, then we'd be having a very different conversation, I guess. But, the positivity around the club matters, and when the team's spanking the opposition 4-0 every week, it feels a lot better than playing out for a 0-0 draw, which is very un-United. And I think kind of reflecting on the show so far, I do feel like I've been swayed from what I actually really believed happened in that game a little bit by your 80-20 stance on manager versus players. My biggest disappointment for the first 2/3 of that match wasn't actually about the manager. That really crept in at the back end of the match when there was nothing done to really try and win the game. What really worried me about that performance was the thing this United team need more than anything else is the belief that the past few years don't tell the story of the next few years, and that they need self-belief. They need to be able to execute at a high level when the stakes are high. And even like they've won a few cups, and that involved some of that, but really even the Europa League, like, it kind of dominated that final, but in a very weird way. Like, it wasn't, and Ajax did look like a real kind of cut below in the end, and it was only the Europa League, although it's a big deal, but they failed on the stage, the first big test of the season. They failed it. 0-0 was a failure in that game. Not a disaster, not the end of the world. It's a long season. There are many bigger tests ahead. But the reason that it really affected the narrative for me is I just really desperately hoped they wouldn't fail that test. Yeah.
I think United need, and Mourinho needs, to go to a top team and really play well and win. It's happened not often under Mourinho's watch. And that conservatism is just a bit much. Look, I know the counter-arguments, Mourinho wins a lot of trophies, and, he's very pragmatic. He pulls this out when he needs to. Look, United, thinking about past managers, especially Fergie, it wasn't all a bed of roses. Fergie played defensive when he wanted to, had a pretty horrible record in his sort of last 5 years as manager at Anfield, particularly, and so on and so on and so on. That's all irrelevant, It's just kind of, it's a red herring. This is United, and we expect United, when it's a good team and when they're challenging, or any team when they're a good team when they're challenging, to match peers, suitably well. And under Mourinho, we haven't done that yet.
I saw a
big victory in a big game, really needed. And Spurs are coming to Old Trafford in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, I mean, we did it against Chelsea last season, right? But almost by default at a very weird time in the season. but that's really the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. Someone said, I can't remember who this was, I think it might have been a journalist, said on Twitter that game was kind of, this thing of Mourinho being a pragmatist. That game wasn't about Mourinho being a pragmatist. That was about Mourinho being defensive. Because if you look at that game pragmatically, you'd say that the best approach to that game wouldn't have been such a defensive approach. So anyway, should we just say goodbye to that game forevermore? Never mention it again. Don't bring it up every time United play badly for the rest of the season, honest. Yeah.
No. What we really should be doing is watching Betis versus Valencia, which was, after 78 minutes, was 4-0 to Valencia. After 84 minutes was 3-4, and has just got to 3-5 with a couple of minutes to go.
Sounds like a heck of a game. So, predictions for Benfica and Huddersfield.
Oh, I think United will win in Benfica 1-0.
Yep.
And win at Huddersfield, let's say 3-1.
Okay.
Let's be generous.
I am going for a 2-1 win over Benfica and a 4-0 win over Huddersfield. I'm not even joking. I think the 4-0s will be back. There's still plenty of talent in this United side, and when it's brought to bear, it can do great stuff.
All right.
And then we'll all be feeling a lot cheerier. Sorry for the miserable podcast. Sorry for the dramatic overreaction to one result, but it just confirmed a lot of fears. We'll be back with another one of these next week. See you then.
See you then.
The Rantcast is produced by Tom Jenkins and supported by listeners like you. Head to patreon.com/Rantcast to find out more.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.